is the best looking physio you'll ever see in your life.
Haha! Hello!
Hi,
How are you?
Marcel.
By the way, I love that intro. You are talking about me, right?
Well, no, but this guy just ran in on Bill's camera then and ran out again with a white coat on.
I just got in there in the last second, didn't I?
Listen,
Fantastic.
Dave has just been telling us, Marcel, that he had a bit of a lively Christmas morning and he slipped on the floor and dislocated his shoulder.
No.
Yeah, again.
Oh my goodness.
We left one, but I popped it back in myself. So it was.
Yeah. Invariably, that is actually sometimes inadvertently the best thing to do, because it just, when you stand up or you recoil, sometimes it just pops back in, and that's obviously, it's pretty painful and pretty shocking, but it's sometimes a smart thing to do. So it can hopefully help. And obviously, how's it feeling now?
I'm all right now. I've got back on the bench again and basically trained again. But it was one of my friends had said basically because over the last 12 months I've been training a lot more, and I think because I built up the amount of muscle coming over the shoulder, because I came seriously, mate. I went up in the air with a real bang, and I put my arm down to stop myself as I came down on the tiles, and it happened that fast. You know, and I'm lying on my back, and I felt this pain in my shoulder, and I've grabbed it, and I thought my arm's not there again. I thought it's come out again. So literally, as I sat up, I managed to push it back in. Yeah, to put it back in. Yeah. But then it's like getting up on ice then, because the floor was wet. I hadn't dried the floor, so I'm thinking I'm gonna go again here if I'm not careful. So I'm trying to. I needed no milk to literally get off the floor.
Oh my goodness! Were you on your own, or there was somebody else there?
Yeah. No, just the dogs. But all the dogs flew over to me because they obviously, when I shouted, when I came out, ah, and obviously a few expletives came out, and I'm lying on the floor. Yeah. And it looked like roadkill.
Oh my goodness! My goodness!
Yeah, I managed to get myself. But the other thing I was going to say to you as well, last night, right? If you both forget magic mushrooms, get blue cheese. Because I nodded off. About, I don't know what time, about 9 o'clock, watching something on the television. And I'm on the sofa, and I started seeing all sorts of weird things during this.
Right, you started tripping out.
Oh yeah, seriously, during this dream. And I came round, and I was like, my heart was going like the clappers, and I'm thinking, what am I dreaming of there? And I was seeing all sorts of weird things, and it.
That's cool. That's very cool. Well, a blue cheese is the way to go then. So blue cheese is the drug of the year. Why not? Fantastic. Easily available.
Available in all commercial shops.
No, indeed. I mean, it is fungus, right? So fungus can be very powerful, particularly mushrooms, right? So those are fungi as well. So nice. Okay. Very cool.
I think I'd get out there and buy some more of that blue cheese, Dave.
Seriously, I was honest to God. This morning, I'm thinking, what was it? What was I actually dreaming? Because I was seeing all these weird things, and it's just so hard to actually remember what I was seeing when I first woke up this morning. But
well, you're in France as well, aren't you? So that's serious blue cheese. Like, there's no messing with that.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm going to get it out so you can all see it in a bit. I'll get it out, but it was a great big circular thing, and I ate half of it. I don't know why I did. It's a big thing. It's fairly big, but I literally ate half of this. And when you close your eyes, you just think, I'm getting on a bit. I thought, close my eyes, have a sleep. Bang. Next minute, I'm seeing also. I was in the Matrix.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. I like the sound of that.
So,
while you two are talking, I'm going to get the cheese out.
Okay, you're going to get your cheese, Dave. Marcel, can I give you a proper welcome? It's nice to see you. I know you had a kind of hectic morning, I guess, today.
Yeah, it was a little bit crazy. Sorry, it gets a bit crazy in between Christmas and New Year, so that's why we're a little late to the party. But it's all good. It's all good.
But the good news is that, rather than just listening to you, me, and Dave, we've got a bit of class on the show today.
Bit of class.
And Ausra has joined us. Ausra, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, Ausra, well, you kind of work together and also have separate things that you do as well. But Ausra, I think we could say is she's pretty fit, no?
I'd say very fit, but yeah, she's in incredible shape and just about raising the bar. Dave, we're not going to talk about your cheese that you just presented to us there, so we'll leave that alone. Maybe come back to that later.
Yeah.
But yes, Ausra and I do work together in Strong for Life. Ausra provides the strength training aspect.
Yeah.
Carries on with some of the rehabilitation from my clients as well, but it's really mostly personal training. So in particular, getting women back into themselves, really back into their bodies,
Right.
getting into their minds and so on. And obviously you can explain as much as you feel you might want to.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I do have to say, I saw the video of the two of you getting into the Mediterranean on, I think it was Christmas morning, was it?
Yes,
Yes.
it was.
Yeah,
It was.
and it was impressive, I have to say. I was cheering you on.
Thank you. From afar,
Thank you so
from
much.
very far. I did tell you, and we did.
Yeah. Oops. Have we frozen?
That's nothing to do with me. Them two are
Oh,
frozen, bless.
Okay.
No, you're back now.
Oh, you're back. Yeah.
now. See,
Just in time for the cold therapy. That's why we did it. We froze on
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
you literally froze in one spot then.
But well, I'm going to embarrass you here, Ausra. I think probably I will embarrass you by saying this, that my wife reckons you have the most perfectly formed gluteus maximus that she's ever seen in her life.
And she's not alone in that.
I'll take that as a huge compliment. Thank you so much.
Anything to do with Parthenon in Greece?
Yes, but that doesn't come on its own, though, Ausra, does it?
Fortunately not. No, imagine if that was just moving around by itself. That could be quite terrifying. But no, it's attached is also a very nice
It
thing.
is also attached, but I guess to get the kind of muscle structure you have in your body, it's a lot of work.
That's a
and
lovely compliment directly from your wife in person as well. So thank you so much.
So, I suggested you come on with us today, Ausra. We're going to talk about some of the, things that Marcel's been raising about. But I was looking at your Facebook page, and that's Fit and Healthy with Ausra,
Yes.
and I thought that you gave some really nice tips for a kind of balanced, healthier lifestyle. And I guess that after Christmas and New Year, where we are prone to a lot of excesses, I thought that there were very practical tips. You know, there weren't the sort of things that you sometimes see on, do this and this and this. I read them and I thought, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. So maybe in a little bit, Ausra, will you talk us through these? And we'll see what what kind of effect people's festive season has on them, and how these things might help to get them back into shape again.
Okay, yes, of course. So those 5 tips that I gave, I think they are very simple, but that's what we need. In my opinion, a lot of people overcomplicate getting in shape and staying healthy, and that's why so many people struggle, because
Sure.
they overwhelm themselves with needing to do so much. And if you try to make small changes over time
Yeah.
and implement them and turn them into habits, it's much easier, but you also see the change, see the difference, and
Yeah.
you are more willing to carry on, because New Year comes and everyone's so excited, New Year resolutions, and a few weeks later it all stops because people just don't
It
commit,
does.
or it's no time, or whatever reason. So
Yeah.
these few simple things that I post are, I believe everyone can do them, and everyone can start working on them on day one, or even before New Year starts.
Absolutely.
So first of all, of course, healthy eating. And
Yeah.
again, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. All we need to concentrate on adding more real food into our diet, adding more vegetables, more berries, more
More
fruits,
cheese.
a bit of less dairy and cheese.
And some,
You don't have to stop it, just reduce it.
And some psychedelic blue cheese as well, says David.
Psychedelic blue
Yes.
cheese, I like that. Yeah.
I do like a little bit of blue cheese occasionally, but so it's just cutting out processed foods. And it's probably funny because on the planet Earth, humans are the only ones who actually don't know what to eat to be healthy. All the
Yes,
animals know what they need to eat to stay healthy, and
absolutely.
humans seem to be very lost because it's so much and we produce so much and it's so many processed foods, and then processed foods marketed and labeled as healthy foods, and so much
Sure.
confusion. But I always say if you try to stick to the basics and eat what comes from nature, and have, if you buy packaged food made by us humans, not by nature, less ingredients. Very few ingredients that you know what they are, you can pronounce them, and that's probably good for you. If you read labels and you have no idea what those things are, they're probably not so good for your health. So it's just
Yeah.
minimizing processed foods and maximizing nutrients, because people who struggle with health or with weight, they very often count calories. But I always try to encourage my clients to concentrate on long term. So concentrate on health, and weight loss comes as a side effect. It's very simple. If you concentrate on weight loss, as soon as you lose weight,
Yeah.
you kind of, what I do now, go back to bad habits. So if you concentrate on eating foods that make you feel good, give you energy, give you nutrients, and that's what we need. Our body sometimes is overloaded with calories, but we are starving on nutrients,
Absolutely.
and that's why we want to eat more.
And I can back that up, Ausra, because about 3 months ago, my blood sugar levels were a little bit high, and I made some fundamental changes in my diet. I mean, we've always eaten well, but I've taken out bread. I've taken out all the high carb stuff. I don't eat rice. If I have potatoes, it's like one potato. It's not a plate full of potatoes. And everything that's produced with flours. In 9 weeks, no, 12 weeks, I've lost about 9 or 10 kilos. And actually, I've been eating as much as I want of all the other stuff. So I haven't been going
Here
hungry.
we go.
It's not been a diet as such, but just in cutting out all these high carb foods, my weight has dropped and my sugar levels have stabilized. And, it really is just about being careful because people overload. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
gluttony, isn't there? Especially over this time of the year. And
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's really good saying, and I like to tell it to everyone. I can't remember who was it by, but it says, eat food, not too much, mainly plants. So if you do that,
yeah,
you'll have no problems and you don't have to go on the diet. And there are
sure.
so many diets that I think if you establish healthy eating and think that way, that I need food, but I don't need too much. We always sit and have big meal and we just, in generally, most people eat too much. So
Yes.
if we think
Yeah.
of the nutrient content and eat that food that basically plants, they fill with nutrition, and that's what we need. And obviously, if you're not vegan or vegetarian, if you have a little bit of good quality meat, a little bit of fish, and ideally you should avoid dairy and all the processed foods and white sugar as well. Fruits packed with good sugar,
Yeah.
and avoiding that refined white sugar, and simple things, cutting out those foods that really not giving us much goodness.
Yeah.
You can easily improve your health and reduce your
Yeah.
weight.
I have to say, I've been experimenting with intermittent fasting as well, which I think
Yes.
is a very interesting concept, and actually that works very well for humans because we are, for thousands of years, we were accustomed to having long periods of not eating.
Sure.
We would have, we might eat for a day or two, and then we might have 3 or 4 days without eating. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do that, but leaving longer gaps between meals, particularly large meals, I think is very, very good for the digestive system. It tends not to have too much of a great impact on your energy levels. You might do it at the beginning because it's a bit of a shock to the system, but ultimately it helps your body to metabolize stored energy, which of course is fat. So
Yeah.
when your body taps into your fat stores, you naturally start to lose weight. So for weight management and so on, and particularly during this period of indulgence, it is a good thing to start to learn a little bit maybe about something like intermittent fasting, in order to allow your body the time to recover and start the process of burning different types of energies rather than these complex carbohydrates, as you said, or simple sugars from sweets and so on and so forth. So that's a very useful thing. And obviously, if there are any listeners who are unsure about that, we can give guidance on that as well. But there's obviously lots and lots of information available.
Well, the intermittent fasting, but before I actually looked into it, I realized we were already doing it, because what we have usually in a day is about an 8-hour window for eating. So, if we have breakfast, it's very often a late breakfast, and it could be 11 o'clock, 11:30. And by 7 o'clock at night, that's all the eating for the day's gone. That's it past. And we usually have one main meal during the day, and we eat well. We eat as much as we want, but that's sort of midday in Spain, as people may not realize. Midday in Spain is about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And even in winter, once the sun's gone down, it's like, okay, no more food. And it works really well. And it's
a good policy.
Yeah,
it's a good policy, and it's very, very healthy for you as well. I'm not sure whether everyone can do it, and I'm not sure whether it's something that you should always do. You have to see how your body responds, but definitely for a period of time to sort of give your body the time to change the way it metabolizes, then it's definitely a good thing to do, and certainly experiment with.
Yeah, I mean, we're not fascist about it. I have 1 or 2 evenings that I'm out. I'm out late for meetings, so I don't want to eat before I go out, and I'm usually heading out about 6:30ish, and I get back maybe 9:30 or 10, and I'll usually have something to eat, something light to eat around about that. So it isn't like sort of, a policy that you've got to stick by.
No.
But I think it works pretty well as a general rule for us, and really just having 16 hours a day where I'm not eating. Rather than 8 hours a day when you're not eating because you're sleeping.
And the caveat to that, the bit that I've had to be a bit careful with, is if you're exercising. So if you exercise quite intensely, it's going to have a much heavier toll on your system because your energy levels will significantly reduce. And that's been the challenge for me. But it's still been good because I've still felt much more comfortable in my stomach. I don't feel bloated. I don't feel heavy. I'll get hungry, that's for sure. I'll get really, really hungry. But that's okay. If I'm hungry and I've left enough time for my body to really tap into my fat stores and then refueling with the right stuff, then you feel very, very good about it.
Yeah.
But that's the only caveat with intermittent fasting, is that exercise has to be accounted for.
Sure. Now, the second thing on your list, Ausra, was regular exercise.
Yes.
Nice segue.
Yes. So this is something that absolutely important for everyone. And one thing is just to move your body. So 30 minutes of moderate exercise, that could be just walking, jogging, swimming, half an hour every single day. We just have to move our body for our well-being, for our physical and mental health. Must for every single person. But there is also doing other stuff like strength training or resistance training, where we use our body weight or a little bit of weight, and especially with age, because once we reach 35, 40, we start losing muscle mass, and that's something really important for in women, especially because we lose muscle mass faster than men. Women have more muscle. I don't know why it works that way, but hormones exactly. So it's very important to do some kind of resistance or strength exercise, at least a few times a week, 3-4 times. To maintain good health, to prevent falls, to maintain flexibility or improve flexibility. And
self-confidence.
Exactly, self-confidence, to look good, to have a better body, and be able to live good quality life. Being able to do things in a house, to lift the heavy box, to play with your children, because so many people, they're in their 40s, but they can't run with children because they either can't breathe, their cardiovascular system is not very healthy, or they're overweight, and so people struggle with their health and their fitness levels. So having that movement every day maintains your good health and mental health as well.
I've got to tell you, Ausra, I looked lovely on the kitchen floor on Christmas Day when I went up in the air and landed on my back because I've been training for so long. If the fire brigade had to turn up and come into me, I would have looked an absolute gorgeous model to them.
Were you covered in oil and also just wearing a loincloth?
Steady? Where you got that from?
Sorry,
Ben.
when you said you would look amazing, I'm thinking that must be what he wears. Doesn't everybody wear that on Christmas Day?
What you do on Christmas morning is your own business, but I don't even go there. I've just had me, I was dressed fully.
My wife demands nothing more than a loincloth. What can I do?
Loincloth on a Christmas morning. Did you have oil on? Did you have oil on, Dave? No, why?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Now we know what's going on in the Costa del Sol on a Christmas morning.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know. Yeah, got to keep it clean.
No
wonder you ended up in the sea on Christmas morning. What?
I have to say, I mean, we've had some really nice weather. I mean, we had it's Spain that they have the Christmas lunch or meal on Christmas Eve. And we sat outside with Vicky's 86-year-old dad and her brother and sister-in-law, and it was a beautiful day, but it's a bit fresh in the morning still. Yeah.
It was. We got there at about 11 on purpose, so we thought let's not go too early because it still has to warm up. And by the time we got in the sea, which was about 11:30. The sea was when you can feel your skin contracting and you've got needles in every part.
It was sort of that cold, yeah.
Yeah, like that cold, exactly.
To be fair, that was first time we did it in 5 years. We lived here 5 years. It was first time we've done it to go in the sea.
It was long overdue. Yeah,
definitely not going to be last one. We're going to do it again.
Actually, we might do it this weekend. So if you fancy joining us, it is New Year's.
New Year's morning. You've got to do it again, lad.
New Year's morning, exactly. And this is just to reiterate a little flashback to one of our earlier shows, which was about the cold therapy.
Sure.
And how beneficial that is. And I'm still doing cold showers, admittedly, not as consistently as I was. A little bit cooler now, but I definitely do them after training, which is a shock now because my bathroom and everything is much cooler than it was before.
All right.
But it still feels great. It still feels really good. You always feel good when you get out as well. The mind is totally different when you get out from that.
Yeah.
Clarity of mind.
I've got.
It's like having the blue cheese. That's why.
Yeah.
Have a cold shower and blue cheese.
Cold shower and blue cheese, Dave. I tell you, something else.
Get off the chart. You're gone.
I think I have the masochism gene missing.
Right. That's missing from you.
Yeah. I have an overload of the hedonist gene.
Right.
But the masochism gene is either malfunctioning or missing.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting is that I think there's a certain amount of that in relation to training as well, in terms of exercise, the topic we were just saying. The people who love to train, they don't necessarily love the pain, but they love the feeling it gives them, and they love the way they feel afterwards, and they love the way they look after doing it for a long period of time. But at the time, it's still torture. It's still torture for them. They still get pain. They still get discomfort. Maybe they get injured and so on, or they get sore muscles in the very least. But that soreness gives that feeling that they've done something. And I think some people have that and enjoy that, and some people really don't like that and try and actively avoid it.
Yeah.
And that, I think, creates the disparity between different levels of exercise. But everyone can walk as a minimum, and where you go from there to increase the level of exercise is definitely something people should be considering to take into the new year, but to become part of a habit, not a resolution. Because 90% of resolutions fail.
Indeed.
One of the exercises I was going to say that I get, well, I don't know if it's high, but you end up absolutely buzzing after doing it. When you're doing curls with your biceps, I do it at an angle with a bar, and I do about 5 sets of curls, and it gets to the point where your arms literally unable to straighten out at the end.
That's right.
And then once you put the weights down, you walk it, all of a sudden the endorphins are going bananas.
Yeah,
and that's the biggest. That one exercise is the biggest release I find than any other when I'm training. Yeah, seriously, it's very, very odd because I've done it since I was 13. I've done this specific exercise.
Right.
But once you get to a point where your arms aren't going to move, and then you put the weights down, you get up, you think and your head's going. "Whoa."
Do you ever do the same level of exertion on other exercises like chest press or back pulls or anything like that?
Yeah, chest press. I do the chest press. I don't do the lateral press behind. But since I had the operation on my hand, I can't in the shoulder. I can't do the lateral press behind my head as much as I used to.
The physiological reason why you feel that on the bicep curl is because you're going to what's called localized fatigue. Without getting too technical, that means you've got to the point where the muscle has now failed and you can't do any more of that given exercise for a very short period of time, for about 30 seconds. But because of that, then you get a hormonal release, which is the endorphins, adrenaline. You sometimes also get a change in your blood pressure, which makes your head spin and so on. So that's the kind of feeling that people fall in love with. But they do it on every single exercise: so chest, upper back, legs, biceps, triceps. Yeah. All of that, and for some people, that's like, oh my god, that is the last thing I want to be doing.
Yeah. Once you get used to it, it's the first time it happens. It's very strange. It's like, oh my god, what's wrong with me? But once you've got used to it, you think, right, now I'm back in.
I'm going to go for it. Exactly.
And you love it, and that's why so many people they do fall in love with that feeling.
Yeah, they fall in love with it. Exactly. It's natural drugs. That's what it is. It's natural drugs.
It is.
Yeah. And I also remembered, sorry, Bill, I also remember years ago, back in Manchester, I was training one night on my own in the house, really, really hard. And I thought, right, now I'm going for a run. And I put my shorts on and my vest and I ran. And I don't know, I must have ran about 6 miles in the pouring rain. But I went so fast and I got back to the house and my mother didn't realize I'd gone. And I got back in the house. She said, "Where have you been?" And I was wet through, obviously, when I came walking back into the house. She said, I said, "I've just been for a run." I said, my endorphins were up through the roof after the train. And I thought, I've got to go for a run. And I went for a run. And when I came back, I was like, wow. And I'll never forget.
Dave, you weren't on the cheese again, were you?
No, never touch anything. I wasn't on anything plastic, any cheese or
no performance enhancing cheeses or meats or anything like that. Okay.
No, not the Johnson's baby powder or anything like that. That was well out of the way. No, I was just gone. I was running for ages.
Yeah.
Well, that's when you know that you're fit. When you're fit, you feel like you want to do more. Energy breeds energy. So very often when you are exercising regularly, eating well, and then the next topic, actually interestingly, sleeping well, then you just get that desire to do more and more.
Well, here's one for you. When we go to Mia for the charity thing, we'll go for a run around the golf course.
Oh, blimey, I don't do running anymore. No, that's fine. I'll be up for that. Why not?
You'll love it. And Bill will do it as well, won't you, lad?
Yeah.
You will. You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. Seriously, the houses and the property and everything where it is stunning. So you'll enjoy it. Seriously, you're not running in a field or anything. You're not thinking, "Oh my God, I'm bored to death." You'll really enjoy it.
Right. Okay. Well, I've got about 8 months to get my running skills back up again.
Yeah.
Start by running a bath first, and then work your way up.
Yeah. So, Ausra, to go back to your five tips, the third one, and Marcel just mentioned it there, is getting enough sleep.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So the sleep, it's very often underestimated, and everyone should really get 7 to 9 hours sleep a night. And it's very important. So again, for recovery, young people especially, very often very proud of, having sleepless nights and not sleeping until 3 in the morning. But even with young people, it catches up because during sleep, we recover, our body detoxes. So there are a lot of processes that are very important that happens whilst we sleep.
Yeah.
And again, it's very important to have good quality sleep. So a lot of people struggle with insomnia, with waking up during night or not falling asleep. And there are a few things to help with that. So again, one of the important things, especially nowadays, that we all have technology and we all go to bed and we scroll through Facebook and Instagram before we fall asleep. So not having device for at least an hour before we go to bed.
Sure.
And just have that wind down time.
Yeah.
Let your mind rest. So that's a good thing. You read a book or just talk to each other, have a bath. And the other thing, some essential oils like lavender, again, having diffuser or just a few drops of lavender in a bath to help your body to relax. Having a dark room as well. Sometimes if it's not enough darkness, it's harder
Right.
to fall asleep, and also sleep is not as deep. So again, it's important to have a deep, dark room. And sometimes it's supplements like magnesium, because it helps again to relax the muscles.
Right.
So it's natural mineral that helps to sleep.
What's been found to be very useful is disconnecting your devices. Now, a lot of people very dangerously put their phones on charge in their bedrooms, and worse, leave their devices connected. Now, one of the things that's highly recommended, just because you're literally disengaging the aerials, because every single mobile phone has aerials in it, which send out signals. Now, generally speaking, they're around us all the time anyway, but if you could minimize them during sleep, if you put your device on airplane mode, or better, airplane mode and charge it elsewhere, sitting room, wherever you want, that's not in your bedroom, it's just not going to be emitting and receiving signals that are right next to your head.
Right.
So it's just much better that way to avoid, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily sleep next to a microwave.
No, well, we actually, again, we've kind of heard about this more recently, but for a lot of years now, all of our devices get charged like 3 rooms away from where we sleep.
Right.
And I certainly, but I don't turn them on to airplane mode, but they are maybe about 40 meters away from us.
Right.
And I don't like phones in the bedroom, to be honest.
No, it's a dangerous and not very good habit. And also, it happens. It shocked me actually when I've learned some people actually put their phones under their pillow.
I've heard about that, yeah. And
Having iPad or your phone under the pillow or right next to your pillow on the bed is really, really dangerous.
well, I have heard about some phones bursting into flames.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's
cooking your brain.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
wouldn't.
really-
Yeah, there was one particular phone that was doing that. But yes, you wouldn't want a phone to overheat. But more
No.
importantly, having a plugged-in phone that's emitting and receiving and then is under your head. I mean, it's just unnecessary. It really is. I mean, I know the sleep tracking apps and all that kind of stuff, because the quality of your sleep can be measured by different things that the device can pick up, particularly immobility. But I think at the moment, you can measure that yourself. You either feel good when you sleep, you've had enough sleep, and so on.
Yes.
And I think actually, more importantly, the connection between sleep and depression is massively underrated, because the quality of your sleep is very, very important. Because if you don't sleep well, and that could be that you don't get into REM sleep or you don't get deep enough into your sleep, your brain doesn't get the chance to compartmentalize, which is what it does when you're asleep. And I think that's where we're seeing a lot of young people who are becoming increasingly depressed, one, because of social media and the effect that that has on people, but also because they tend to be looking at their screens way into the night, and this changes the way their brains function.
Yeah, sure.
And we know that blue light has a very negative effect on the brain. It keeps it more alert instead of allowing it to shut down. That's the reason to not view the screens before you go to bed, because blue light, now a lot of phones have blue light eliminators built in now as a direct result of that. I mean, that tells you how important that is. The phone companies have actually created software that eliminates the blue light. So if you don't know what that is on your phone, check your settings, because there will be something that eliminates blue light if you want at a certain time of night. So either at sundown or from 8 p.m. onwards, it will deactivate the blue light on your phone, and that will take less strain from your eyes and your brain.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
how universal or how individual is the amount of sleep a person would have at night?
Yeah. Most people need between 6 and 8 hours. There are some people who can function on 4 hours.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But just because they can function at that doesn't mean that it's good for them. So again, they can be fine, but ideally we do need to get, I would say, at minimum 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm probably about a 7-hour person. But I well, this morning I got up at 6:30. which is a bit earlier than my normal, but 7 o'clock, between 6:30 and 7 is my sort of normal time for getting up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel I get up because I feel as if I've slept enough, basically.
Right.
So
And
that's the thing. If
That's the
you
thing.
have good quality sleep
Yeah.
and you've slept enough, you feel alert, and you wake up, you feel like you had a good night's sleep. So that's enough for you, and that's
But
absolutely
will you
fine.
wake up at that time, regardless of the time you go to bed, or you'll always go to bed at the same time?
We pretty much go to bed at the same time. Well, I would say between 10:30 would be early, 11:30 would be late. So it's somewhere in that window. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Having routine does help.
Yeah.
as well.
Routine. Exactly.
Exactly. And going back to mention the few topics we already mentioned again, if someone struggles with sleep, again, one thing is exercise.
Mm.
If you have vigorous exercise during the day, it will help you sleep.
Yes.
It helps. And also not having a big meal before bed, because you don't want to be digesting giant steak when you sleep. You want to eat at least 2-3 hours before you go to bed.
Yeah.
And then obviously it helps you with a detox, and you sleep much better if you don't have heavy food to digest whilst you sleep.
Well, that's interesting because although Vicky is Spanish, she struggles with the Spanish meal times.
Eating late.
I mean, they have 2 breakfasts, then they have a big lunch, and then they sit down to dinner anything from sort of 9:30 till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And on the very odd occasions that we've done it, Vicky has had a terrible night's sleep. It just doesn't agree with her metabolism.
Yeah.
No,
And
I dare say that's most people, not everyone, but most people. That's going to be the way as
Yeah.
well. So yeah.
Did-
And that's a cultural adjustment, obviously, where
Well,
they eat a lot later.
yeah, I guess with her growing up in Australia and getting into the kind of routines that they had there,
Right.
she just decided it suited her. And then when she and I got together, my eating times were earlier rather than later. And she just said, this suits me really well. I hate eating late at night, and I get terrible night's sleep, and I get gas, and I get bloating, and I get, it just, she hates it,
Yeah. Yeah.
But having said that, Vicky could sleep literally once round the clock.
Right. Okay. She's a good sleeper.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
yeah. Well, actually, scientifically, it has been proven that women need more sleep than
Right.
men. Yes, because the way our hormonal system works, we do need more sleep.
Okay.
It's not just beauty sleep; it's actually very important for our health.
Well, it is beauty sleep.
Yeah.
It does make you more beautiful. It's a win, isn't it?
but
So,
it's for our hormone balance. We do need more sleep.
Okay, Ausra, number 4 on your list. So we've had the balanced diet, regular exercise, getting enough sleep, and then managing your stress.
Yes.
What do you want to
That's
say
a
about
big
that?
one.
Yeah.
Stress is probably number 1 killer in the world. So to avoid stress is just impossible. We all experience stress. So then obviously it's about managing stress.
Right.
It's about reacting. Sometimes we stress unnecessary. We overstress. We overthink about things. So stress when things happen, lots of stress before
Yeah.
it happens, right? So the way we react to situations, right? If you're stuck in the traffic and you're late, you can stress yourself to death, or you can, say, okay, well, I'm stuck. There is nothing I can change. So if you can't change it, no point stress about it, right? So finding ways to de-stress. So again, maybe finding what makes you feel good, going for a walk, or doing some deep breathing, taking a yoga class, doing meditation, taking a hot bath, or having a conversation with someone that helps you to unload a little bit. So finding ways to de-stress, it's absolutely important.
Right. Okay, listen, Dave's been having some technical problems, so I wasn't sure whether to take a little break or not. What is your advice on this one, Mr. Halewood?
I think we can go for a lie down and just have a quick rub down.
I'll take the rub down.
About the oil situation and Everyone's in their houses now going, let's have a go what Marcel and his wife does. I think we're all right now. I think we're okie dokie.
Okay. Right. So
I've not seen rapeseed oil on this machine now. It should be okay.
well, welcome back for the last part of the show. I have my regular contributor, Marcel Salazar, who's amongst other things, physical therapist, and his amazing wife, amazing, fit, healthy, gorgeous wife, Ausra, who is, well, you do a lot of physical training for people, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep it short.
I think, am I right in saying that you were a bodybuilder?
Well, I did take part in bodybuilding or bikini competition, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And hence, you managed to keep that. You haven't gone to seed in any way, Ausra.
No. So I've always loved strength training, but I've never been as consistent as preparing for competition.
Right.
And I realized how much I enjoyed to be, really strict with myself, and because it made me feel so good, really clean diet and more consistent whenever I exercise. Yeah. And since then, I maintained it through my actually pregnancy afterwards and after.
Yes.
Yes.
And formerly a pharmacist.
Yes.
Yes.
That as well, yes.
Yeah. There we go. So it should have been Ausra that was telling Dave about his psychedelic cheese then, yeah?
Ideally, yeah, but Ausra tends to stay away from the psychedelics in her line of work, or did anyway, unfortunately, okay. Whether or not they're into that. But yes.
Ausra, we've just been going through your 5 tips to try and get people back on track after the excesses of the festive season. And the 5th one was about staying hydrated. What do you want to say about that?
So this one actually, this is hardest one for me because I'm terrible with drinking enough water, and I am a coffee lover, so I drink a lot of coffee, and I have to remind myself that I do need to have a glass of water after my coffee. It's just making sure that you drink enough through the day, because obviously our cells are made of water, a lot of water, so we need to keep body hydrated.
Right.
Obviously, because if we don't drink through the day, then we are more fatigued, our skin doesn't look so good, we get constipated, and it just affects our health overall.
Right.
So having 6-8 glasses of water, that's sort of average recommendation for most people. Obviously, if you're exercising a lot, you need to drink extra. If you're drinking tea and coffee, again, that contains diuretics, so you need to drink extra water again.
And the special advice for Dave is try and keep the water in a cup and not all over the floor.
Tip of the day there, Dave. Tip of the day.
Marcel nearly went into a panic attack then. I'm thinking, I don't want constipation before New Year. So we're just back on the bottles of water very quickly.
Yeah. You don't want that. You don't want constipation for sure.
No.
No, and obviously if you're out and about, that's my issue often, if I forget a bottle of water with me, and then you end up going all day without water. So just having that bottle with you and drinking through the day, so you don't have to drink the gallon in one go. Just make sure you hydrate through the day. The other way actually is really good to hydrate your body is eating watery vegetables and fruit. So you can actually get enough water eating lots of fruits.
Cucumber
and oranges and watermelon.
Yeah, very good tip that. I got a telling off the doctor when I had kidney stones because I forgot to drink as well. I was doing all this exercise and forgetting to drink, and basically you're dehydrating yourself.
Absolutely.
You got to remember to drink.
Indeed. So, Marcel, Ausra, what are your? I'm not going to say resolutions, plans for 2023, because you've actually had some big changes during this year, haven't you? In setting up, well, you've always had your own clinic, but it's usually been inside someone else's establishment, and you've got your own location now. What do you see happening for yourselves in 2023?
So we are very excited about 2023 because we are definitely integrating to an online service provision, particularly Ausra. Ausra has now developed her own application that allows her to train clients anywhere in the world and provide programming, communication, nutrition plans, all that type of stuff, and can therefore provide her services anywhere, including here on site, but also obviously online, which is super duper cool. So we're very excited about that. I plan to bring in more practitioners to the clinic as well to provide larger service provision. At the moment, we have an acupuncturist, which is great. We have Pilates, which is great. But I may be bringing in as well some more service providers as well, so we can add more to the bow of the services available in Strong for Life in Calypso.
Yeah. Well, that is, I think having your own space actually opens up a lot of possibilities for you, doesn't it?
That's it. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. It gives you more options. That's the point, is having the choices to be able to add things, take things away. And the goal really is to try and find out what is it that our clients need or want the most, and obviously provide that.
Sure. Yeah.
Mr.
Halewood, what are you going to be doing for Hogmanay for New Year's Eve?
Putting straps on walls, basically, so I can hold on to, or handrails, anywhere around the house now. I'm not even going to mop the floors. I'm just going to keep them bone dry. I'm going to have the place looking like a tip when the dogs come in and out. I'm not even dicing with death anymore until I get the laminate flooring down. I'm just going to put handrails around the house, and then you'll see me, basically, in August, when we all meet up in Manchester, you'll see me with the arms like that, because I'll be holding on to everything I can get hold of, and at least I'll be in one piece, then, and I won't be in A&E somewhere.
But what about you guys? Are you going to have big celebrations for New Year's Eve, or are you playing it quiet?
This year, quite the opposite. We are going to play it quiet. We're going to be quite... there's been a nasty bug going around. Luckily, we haven't caught it, so that's good news. But we don't really want to tempt fate, so... we're going to just keep it very simple. We'll probably be at home, we'll probably be with our kids, and just make it really easy going. Glass of champagne, traditional grapes here, shove them in 15 seconds or less.
Yeah.
And then have an early night, because sleep is very important.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Taking your own advice. Listen, right. Marcel, thank you for joining us throughout this year. Ausra, delighted you could join with us today. And let's hope that your tips, what I was saying was the nice, simple tips, the things that people can do, but actually that will make a difference. I wish both of you a very good, happy 2023, full of opportunities, full of good experiences. Mr. Halewood, the same for you. And
thank you,
well, we shall speak next week. Take care, everyone who's listening in. Have a great new year, and we'll see you, or we'll speak to you next year.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year when it comes.
Happy New Year.